Peace, family. So I'm back with another one. Today what I wanted to do is I wanted to talk to my chosen ones about removing and disconnecting your emotional ties when involving and dealing yourself with the matrix. You know what I mean? So what I mean by dealing with the matrix, I mean by dealing with the oppositional playbook. We know what playbook is leading this charge out here right now. It is not the natural flow of things. You know what I mean? So we all know from all of this stuff going on and around out here that they have been trying to disconnect us. But before that even happened, they was already working on disconnecting us, which is why they had the divide and conquer analogies, right? But you'll realize, like, working some of these jobs, going to some of these stores out here, just like dealing with the courts, just having to deal with certain entities that's fully connected, you know, to the system, you'll understand that the system, the matrix, is fully transactional. It's fully transactional. So that's where we kind of fuck ourselves at, is because we use our emotional intelligence to connect with people, places, things, you know what I mean? And in the midst of us trying to connect with some of these people, places, and things, we are going through this weird place in the inside where I'll use the word either frustrated or overwhelmed. These are just the words that I'm gonna use for time management, you know what I mean? And you feeling this overwhelming sensation because you dealing with certain beings and entities, and you're trying to figure out how to formulate a connection so that way you can have a more natural, organic transaction, you know what I mean? And that's why we do things like make things for people, you know. That's why we have our favorite locations and stores we like to go to. That's why we have our favorite people and beings we like to be around and stuff, you know, because we were able to formulate a connection there, you know. And even like for me, like, it was an Arab store that I used to always go to. But even though it's connected to the matrix because it's a store, the people, they carried themselves, the owners and the people that work there, the family members, carried themselves empathetically, you know what I'm saying? And they didn't make you feel as if you were walking into a Walmart, you know what I'm saying, or into a doctor's office, you know what I'm saying, or having to deal with any of these big corporate entities, you know what I mean? So it's easy when we talk about it in corporate terms, right? But we also have to understand that's still the same playbook as the opposition. So when you process that and you understand, all right, if the big corporates is doing this, why wouldn't the people around me be doing this exact same thing? If big corporate is doing it, why wouldn't the people around you be doing the exact same thing? We have to look at everything on two different levels, because when they're operating up there with bigger money and more energy and more resources and things, you know, they're battling and doing things with other people and other beings and entities that's up there in that space. And us down here is battling the oppositions and those entities that's at these levels as well, you know, principles, morals, and values. So if we know these big stores is not wanting to have a connection and it's solely transactional, every time you go in there you may have a dispute or something and they just don't even care what you got to say. They are strictly by books, policies, and all these things. You have to understand that the main objective is the bigger playbook. So if that's what's being used, then it's going to trickle from the corporates down to the people around us. So when you are dealing with people that's around you, that you have reach of, you know, friends, family, spouses, people, you know, just in your vicinity, you have to understand that because of the playbook, that's why it's going to be always hard to make a connection. So when you think about connections, look at it like I was saying before with the little TikTok video. If we are the gas stations, right? I'm the gas station. You gotta come pull up to me. They pull up to the gas station, right? But they don't have no gas pump nozzle on the car. So there's no way for me to make that connection to that vehicle. The vehicle can sit in front of the gas station all day, you know what I'm saying, but it's not able to make that full connection because it doesn't have the gas tank, little opening for the pump nozzle to go in there to connect the gas tank to the gas. So when you are able to connect these things, it'll help you realize that they have to structure that vehicle differently so that way people can connect to it. It's harder to make a connection with something when it's like, yeah, I take gas, but then you ain't got nowhere to put the gas in the car. They know how to put the gas in the car, but they pulling up to the pump at the station, but it's not accessible here. You know what I'm saying? It's like some weird shit that they gotta go do when it's on the other side of the car, under the bitch. You gotta remove a couple pieces and all this shit. Like, nah, just keep it simple. You know what I'm saying? But the way the system is set up, it wants us to be disconnected. So you have to remember when you're dealing with the system and people that use that playbook, disconnection is a huge part of it. It's a huge part of it. So I had to realize and get to a space to where I wasn't beating myself up over and not being able to formulate connections with certain beings and people, whether it was my mom's sperm donor, you know what I'm saying, family members, siblings, spouses, any of those things, you know what I mean? Because for me and for us, we use those emotional connectors for a lot of things, you know what I'm saying? So for us, dealing with the matrix is like, hey, don't use it. Dealing with this battle and this war at hand is like, don't use it. You know what I'm saying? But we still use it. It's just in a different formula. But it's also like knowing that when you're dealing with that structure or that entity, that you have to remove and minimize that part when they're attacking. If you're attacking and you're using it for, for your maneuver or whatever, that's completely fine. But if you're trying to use it as part of your defense, that's how they get through the defense. Is because our shit was naturally set up as, offense, defense. But the system figured out a way to counter it with the disconnect. So that's why it's important for us to constantly be in our word, constantly showing gratitude, whoever you talk to that, that's your most high, that you replace that word with the creator, the natural flow of things. We have to be in connection with that consistently. Because once you lose that connection, we already see what happens. So if our playbook is to keep us connected, you know what I'm saying? Meaning that everything flows together. We are one with the trees, the grass, the universe, everything, the animals, all that shit. We have every feature that all these animals have. You know what I'm saying? Every feature. We may not be able to sit in the water for years at a time or whatever, but we can still go in the water. You know what I'm saying? We have just about every feature is every animal. So the opposition likes to take on this concept of reptilians and chameleons and babyllions and all of this shit, because you think about it, if somebody moves into your neighborhood that's African and they usually wear their attire, you know what I'm saying, and you in the Western world and you wear regular clothes like this is our Western regular attire, you know what I'm saying? So if you're wearing that, you're going to be able to distinguish them. But if they change clothes, then it would be easier for them to blend in. So that would be more reptilian, chameleon, mammalian, babyllion, you know what I'm saying? Whatever fucking word they want to put on it. But it's another way to blend in. So these are all spiritual concepts. So when people be thinking that they talk about aliens, and alien is a foreign entity to a certain land, you know what I'm saying? So if I move over to somewhere overseas, I would be considered an alien. So we have to move certain perceptions, you know what I mean, so that way we can get back to the ground root of things and understand what's actually going on, so you can make the steps and take the steps today. Don't wait all day and for the rest of your life, because we got enough shit hindering us, you know what I mean? So when we in the Western world, we already have like at least 50 million battles we fighting ourselves when we wake up, you know what I'm saying? So you already had to figure out a routine to beat your own fear that's applied to you when you wake up. You know what I'm saying? I don't like to use anxiety and all these other things because it all is just another word for fear. You know what I'm saying? Even worrying, even I don't want to put overwhelmed. So overwhelmed, I would say that would be something that would be a little separate, because you can be overwhelmed by a lot of weight. That's just a lot of work that you have to do. That don't have anything to do with, you know, ill intentions or doing any harm to anybody. But it does harm you if you just letting that shit pile up. You know what I mean? So it's just being aware. And then even saying that is contradictory, because if you harming yourself, you harming others around you. So like, that's what I be saying about this weird ass spiritual war that's going on, this Western world that got us all tied up in this English language. So it's like everything you say, you have to correct and counter yourself. You know what I mean? Because technically we are like walking around speaking and just casting spells out consistently. You know what I'm saying? Like, to be honest, we shouldn't even be having to talk as much as we do. And we should be shutting the fuck up more to actually add more value back to talking and words again. You know what I mean? So, like, if you had a whole society that shut the fuck up for a year or something, you know what I'm saying? And then when somebody talked, it was like everybody looked, or it was like in a... It would have to be a new formula formulated so that way words had more value and substance to kind of help and help the others. Us, we already know. We know how to go in and pick and weave and duck and dodge, and we could watch some shit that's a 98% bullshit and pull out that little 5-10% truth and some healthy or some good shit or some enlightenment that's in there. You know what I'm saying? But the tactics be to help the others around us that's not strong enough to do these things themselves. You know what I mean? And just understanding that these tactics are used out here daily. You know what I'm saying? They want us all disconnected. So when you dealing with the matrix and you dealing with your job, don't involve your feelings, because most of us is only at certain jobs because of the paycheck. If to stop the paycheck, you wouldn't be doing it anymore. And it's a very small percentage of us that would be like, yo, I still fuck with this, I love this, I would still be doing it even if they ain't cut me no check. You know what I'm saying? Just because I love doing that or I love what I do, and that's different. And I'm not speaking for as far as the people who doing their own thing and been building their own. That's a completely different place. You know what I'm saying? That's kudos to you. You don't even get to go in that other space. But they are disconnecting us, you know. So dealing with these stores, dealing with the hospitals and all these big corporate locations and entities, I don't care if you call in a bill collector, like, it's all transactional. Remove your feelings. When you in that transaction or you're dealing with those entities, when you feel yourself getting worked up or wanting to speak from that space, sit it over here, especially if you're trying to get something done and you have to go through the matrix, because we in the Western world. So unless you got a super big bag, you wouldn't be even needing to talk to those people or do those kind of things unless you got like some health issues or some things like that, which then it would come into place. You see what I'm saying? How it's always a counter for something out here, which is why it's like, it's important for us to do our due diligence daily and to constantly be in a self-awareness space. You know what I mean? But I could go into this for a long time, you know what I'm saying? But I ain't want to run it up too long. Tapping everything down below. Peace and love to the kings and queens.